Okay guys, today we're going to talk about how to change a fraction to a decimal. So you should have gotten this foldable, these notes in class today, and we kind of went over how to fold them. If not, let me show you. This is the front page. We're going to do decimal to fraction for tomorrow night's homework, so don't worry about this right now. Tonight we're just focusing on the fraction to decimal. Alright, so this is the front. I want you to flip it over. And you'll notice that you can take this edge and you can kind of fold it in to where you can see decimal to fraction. So go ahead and do that if you haven't already. And then you're going to do the same thing to the other side. You're going to fold it over until you see fraction to decimal. And I'm sorry, it may overlap some. I was not doing too great on the getting it to match up, and I apologize for that. But we got to work with it. So today we're only going to focus on the decimal to fraction. So I want you to open up this side and go to the top left where it says step 1, divide the blank by the blank. Alright? So when we're given a a fraction, and we need to change it to a decimal, such as like 3/4, what we're going to do is we're going to divide the numerator. And what you need to be doing is filling in these notes with me as I go along in your journal. Okay, so you're filling out these notes right here that you glued into your journal with me. So make sure you're following along and filling in the blanks. So to change a fraction to a decimal, we're going to divide the numerator by the denominator. And if you've forgotten what is what, the numerator is the top number, and the denominator is the bottom number. Okay, so if I gave you the example 3/4, the numerator would be the 3, and the denominator would be the 4. So step 1 says to divide the numerator by the denominator. Or you will hear us teachers say TIBO, T-I-B-O. You'll see right here, TIBO. That stands for top in, bottom out. So the top number goes inside your house, and the bottom number goes outside. So for example, if I have 3/4 and I want to use TIBO, I'm going to put the top number inside my house. So the 3 goes inside. And the bottom number goes out. So the bottom number is 4, so it goes outside my house. Okay? So top number in, bottom number out. TIBO. Top in, bottom out. Step 2 says that we need to add a decimal point at the end and take it straight up. Guys, this is a very important step. Please do not forget this, because if you forget to put your decimal point up, you may put it in the wrong spot. So immediately before you start doing any math, I want you to put your decimal point at the end and take it straight up. Okay? So I put my decimal point, I did step 2, add a decimal point, and take it straight up. Alright? The next thing we're going to do, step 3, is to divide like normal. So we are going to do long division. Long division. Well, 4 won't go into 3. Alright? 4 won't go into 3. So, because 4 won't go into 3, I need to add a 0. Now we have to look. 4 will go into 30 how many times without going over? This is where those multiplication facts that I was talking about really come into play. It's really important for us to know these. So 4 will go into 30 7 times, okay, without going over. 7 times 4 is 28. So I'm going to subtract 28 from 30. That leaves me with 2. Okay, a remainder of 2. Since I have a remainder, I can't stop. Okay, you can't just stop there. So 4 won't go into 2, so I need to add a 0 and bring it down. Now I have to say to myself, 4 will go into 20. How many times without going over? Well, that will go in 5 times. 5 times 4 is 20. And 20 minus 20 is 0. Now that I have a remainder of 0, I can stop. Alright, so this is my answer. 0.75 or 75 hundredths. So you just successfully changed a fraction to a decimal by division, because if anybody remembers this fraction bar right here, that also means to divide. So this is like saying 3 divided by 4. All right, if you want to think of it that way to help you remember that you need to divide a fraction to turn it into a decimal. Okay, so the next thing I want you to look at, and we're going to do some examples together in a minute. Okay, the next thing I want you to look at is down here. Well, here's a question I hear a lot. What if I have a mixed number? Well, some people may say, Ms. Clickman, I don't remember what a mixed number looks like. Well, let me show you. 1 and, I'm so sorry. Hold on just a second. Okay, so a mixed number would be like 1 and 2/5. Okay? 1 and 2/5. That would be a mixed number, where you've got a whole number in the front followed by a fraction. This is a mixed number. So, what do you do if you have a mixed number? How do you change that to a decimal? Well, we're going to write the whole number in the answer box. Okay? And you're like, what are you talking about? What is the answer box? Well, whenever you have a problem like this, I immediately want you to draw a box somewhere. And this is where you're going to put your answer. Okay? This is where your answer is going to go. So write the whole number in the answer box. We'll look at your mixed number. What's the whole number here? I'm hoping you say 1, the whole number. So I'm going to take this whole number and I'm going to write it in the answer box. Okay? Now that I've done that, I can move on. Alright? The reason I want you to write it in the answer box is because I don't want you to do your division on the fraction and forget about that whole number, because that whole number is very important. It's still part of the mixed number. Okay? So we're going to take it to the answer box, and then we're going to follow the steps above for the remaining fraction. So since I placed my 1 in the answer box, all I have left is this 2/5. 2 out of 5. Okay? So to change a fraction to a decimal, if you remember, our step 1 is to divide the numerator by the denominator. So we're going to typo, top in, bottom out. So here I go. Top number goes inside my house. The bottom number goes outside. Top in, bottom out. Okay? Step 3 is then step 2, can't skip steps. Step 2 is to add a decimal point at the end and take it straight up. So let's add our decimal point and take it straight up. Now it's divide like normal. So 5 will not go into 2, so I'm going to add a 0. 5 will go into 20. How many times without going over? 4. Okay? And 4 times 5 is 20. 20 minus 20 is 0. Since I have a remainder of 0, I'm now done, and here's my decimal point, 0.4. Alright? Now it says once you're done changing the fraction to, you can't see that. Once you are done changing the fraction to a decimal, take your answer and place it behind the whole number in your answer box. Okay, so let's look back up here. We moved our whole number over. Then we divided our fraction. We typoed our fraction, top in, bottom out. We came up with 0.4. So I'm going to take this 0.4 and I'm going to add it behind my whole number, and there you go. Now you change this mixed number to a decimal. Alright, so let's do some examples. Here's our examples. Our first one is 3/5. Well, it's not a mixed number, so I don't have to worry about taking anything to an answer box. So let's go straight here to our steps. We need to divide. Step 1, divide using typo. So top in, bottom out. Top number inside, bottom number outside. Step 2 is to add a decimal point. Take it straight up. Okay, step 3 is to divide like normal. Well, 5 won't go into 3, so I need to add a 0. 5 will go into 30. How many times without going over? That would be 6. 6 times 5 is 30. Subtract those two answers. I get a remainder of 0. So here's my answer, 0.6. Okay, it's very important that you either box or circle your answers. Very important, so that your teachers can see what your answer is. We shouldn't have to search for your answer, okay? So box or circle all your answers. Let's try this next one. 4/3, 4 over 3. Okay, I hope you remember that this fraction bar means to what? Divide. Good job. Okay, so that's like saying 4 divided by 3 if that helps you. So step 1, divide. We're going to use typo, top in, bottom out. So here we go. Top number inside, bottom number outside. Step 2 is to add a decimal point at the end and take it straight up. Step 3 is to divide like normal. All right, well, will 3 go into 4? It sure will. One time without going over. 1 times 3 is 3. So we'll subtract 3 from 4. We get 1. 3 won't go into 1, so I need to add a 0, bring it down. 3 will go into 10 3 times without going over. 3 times 3 is 9. Subtract 9, I get a 1. 3 won't go into 1, so I'm going to add a 0, bring it down. Do you see a pattern? Okay. 3 will go into 10 3 times. Minus 9 is 1. Add a 0, bring it down. 3 will go into 10 3 times. It's going to keep repeating. We call this a repeating decimal because it will go on forever and ever without stopping. Okay? It'll go on forever and ever without stopping. So it's a repeating decimal. So the way we write this is 1.3. And then instead of writing all these 3's, if you want to, you can write the repeating symbol. So which number is repeating over and over again? Well, the 3 is. So here's your repeating symbol. All right? So you can write 1.3 repeating or 1.333, whichever you prefer. Make sure you box your answers. Now, normally I tell you if your remainder is not 0, you can't stop. But for the sake of your time, you don't need to go past 3 decimal places. Okay, that's the thousandths place. Tenths, hundredths, thousandths. You don't need to go past that. All right, let's do this last one. Sorry, I write kind of big. All right, 1 and 2/8. Ooh, here we go. We've got a mixed number. So it says the first thing we need to do for a mixed number is to write the whole number in the answer box. So I'm going to do my answer box right here. I'm going to bring my whole number 1 straight down so I don't forget about it. Okay? Then we're going to follow the steps above for the remaining fraction. All right? And then once we're done, once we're done and we have our decimal answer, we're going to take it, we're going to place it behind our whole number in the answer box. So let's do that. We have 2/8 left. So to take this fraction and turn it into a decimal, we need to divide. Typo. All right? I'm going to do it over here. Top in, bottom out. That's step 1. Step 2 is to add a decimal point and take it up. Step 3 is to divide like normal. Well, 8 won't go into 2, so let's add a 0. 8 will go into 20 how many times without going over? 2. 2 times 8 is 16. 20 minus 16 is 4. All right, I got a remainder, so I got to keep going. 8 will go into 4. So let's add a 0, bring it down. 8 will go into 40 how many times without going over? 5. 5 times 8 is 40. And 40 minus 40 is 0. So now that I have a remainder of 0, I can stop. So I've come up with 0.25, but we're not done yet. It says that we need to take that answer and write it behind the whole number. So 0.25. So our answer, changing 1 and 2/8 to a decimal, is 1.25.